Skirts aren't easy, I know. I hardly wear them. Because, quite frankly, I think they make me look frumpy quite often. In fact, in the heatwave, it was so bad, I was hunting around for a skirt and could barely find one. So today I'm going to show you 8 summer skirt mistakes that do make us look frumpy, make us look older than we are, and make us, quite frankly, caricatures of what mid to late age women are identified as. And we don't want that, do we? But I'll also tell you about the skirts that do work for me. Mistake number 1 would be buying that skirt because it's got an elasticated waist, it's gathered and it's comfy. Now, I'm not saying elasticated waists are wrong, but there are some that cause bunching around the waist and bunching just below. For example, these are 2 I've discarded over the last few years. And I think you would agree it was very well worth my while discarding them. You see, I would definitely not wear them in public. And I got to the point I wouldn't wear them at home either. Because I don't want to be the epitome of granny gardening when my step-grandchildren's mum comes to the door. Oh no, I would much rather be her inspiration. Now, I know elasticated is comfortable, it stretches, it's easy to get on, just pull it on. The problem is all that gathering adds a volume. And it's not just volume, it's rounded volume. Rounded round the hips, rounded round the belly, rounded round the rear. And then the skirt just hangs straight down and shapeless from there. But as I said, I'm not abandoning elasticated skirts because there's 2 skirts I absolutely adore and they happen to be elasticated. So I have the brown one and I have this blue one. And this is where the difference is obvious. Because both of these have elasticated waist, just like the other 2. But they don't create the same silhouette, do they? See, with the floral skirts, all of the fabric is gathered at that waist and then just hanging straight down. And all that fullness is at the tummy and the hips, and it's just making the whole thing look bulky and, quite frankly, frumpy and dated. Compare that to the 2 elasticated poplin A-line skirts. Notice what's happening underneath the waistband. The waistband stays relatively flat. The material of the skirt just falls gently away from the hips rather than ballooning out from just under the waistband. That little difference is actually a huge difference. And the fabric helps. That cotton poplin has a lovely crispness, so it holds its shape rather than collapsing straight underneath that waistband. It skims over the body and skims away from the body rather than adding volume where we don't want it. So if you love the comfort of an elasticated waist, and who doesn't, don't rule them out. Just look for a skirt with a flatter waistband and an A-line and controlled fullness. It's much more modern as well as being more flattering. Number 2, no waist definition. So you put on a skirt, very comfy, and then you put on a loose top over it. And we're back into the epitome of granny doing the gardening. I've thrown this on to be comfortable, is what that is saying. You've lost your shape entirely. Now, on a hot, muggy day and humid day, maybe that's exactly what you want. Maybe if you're tall and slim, that's what you want. Maybe if you absolutely just love loose styles, that's what you want. But just accept then you aren't showing a waist. And that's fine if that's you. But on most of us, we've just become a block. From shoulder to hem, one continuous rectangle. It's not the skirt's fault. There's nothing wrong with the skirt. There's probably nothing wrong with the top either. It's how we're wearing them together and how we haven't styled it. But that also doesn't mean we have to tuck everything and wear a belt. There are several ways we can get around this, and I'll come on to those in a minute. But the principle is we're going to look less frumpy if our waist is visible. Not necessarily on show, not necessarily emphasised, but indicated. Actually, before we go any further, if you think women in her 50s, 60s and beyond should be represented and should be listened to by the brands and should be styled as if we are our own individuals and not our grandparents, then hit subscribe because this channel is for you. Every extra subscriber I get is a louder voice to the brands to say, we're visible, listen to us. We are very much relevant. So back to the mistakes. So pairing a flowy skirt with a baggy top. I know you think baggy is hiding things. How many times have I said that though on this channel? That actually the baggier it are, it's often making us look bigger. So here's what's happening. A flowy skirt already has volume. A baggy top then is just doubling up on that volume. We've then got volume everywhere and we've just turned ourselves into a hopper, and all we need to do is add the horns. And along the way there, we've also lost the proportions that work to elongate and make us look slimmer, and that is the 2/3 rule. And we've turned this look into half and half, which is just not going to work, is it? You know, that's totally frumptum knocking at the door. So if the skirt has volume, the top needs to be fitted or skimming. So I'm thinking, say, a close cut linen blouse, a ribbed vest, a skimming t-shirt. It doesn't have to cling. That balance of full on bottom, slimming and skimming and skinny on the top is what creates that pulled together look. It's the one that we notice in other women when we think they're looking great. That's generally what they've done. And then we've got length on top. So I'm not saying everything needs a full deep tuck, but we do need to be looking shorter on the top so as we're not making ourselves look like we've just thrown it all together, as I described earlier on. Now, yes, I do just throw clothes together. I do just throw them on. We all do, don't we? But I really do hope that on those days, the step-grandchildren's mum doesn't turn up at the door, I've got to tell you. But really, that's lazy, isn't it? Because leaving a top just hanging there over a skirt is a caricature we are trying to avoid. We've lost that waist definition I keep talking about, and we're back to that rectangle. So what we need to do is either tuck in tightly, or tuck in and zhuzh out, or wear a shorter top and wear that loose. That's either showing the waist if you've tucked it in, or the cropped top, cropped to the waist, is raising the eye up to that higher hemline, giving the illusion of a waist. Now, I have been a huge victim of this one, and that's buying the wrong material. You do learn as you get older, you learn over the years, don't you? See a pretty skirt and think, oh yes, I love that in the summer. Summer comes, oh my goodness, you daren't wear it, because in 90 odd degrees without air conditioning, there's actually no airflow despite the fact you've got bare legs. And I'm talking to you there, artificial fabric. We hear this so often, don't buy artificial fabrics and so on, you want natural fibres. Really, it's so true, especially in the heat. So we want to be avoiding anything shiny, anything synthetic in the summer. And shiny material, and that matters even more than just the heat, because shiny materials reflect the light and can show any bulges and rounding and cellulite and goodness knows whatever underneath it. So we're looking for matte fabrics, and then we're looking also for those natural fibres. And the greatest option of all is linen. It drapes beautifully, it breathes, it hangs well because it's got that weight. It looks elegant, it's got the appearance of chic. Even with the wrinkles, that's part of its charm, and it gets better the more we wear it, the more we wash it. And then for those light days, it's cotton, the way you can swing, and it's creating a breeze, and it's flowing around you, and the air's circulating in and through the material and the weave of the cotton. Now, a supposed rule is not to wear a dark on top and light skirt. But I don't agree exactly with that. Maybe mine's an unpopular opinion. I do agree it looks stark and unbalanced, and the lighter bottom can make then you look wider and the bottom because the material is lighter. But you see, some of you might want the slimming effect of the darker colour on top, because maybe you're quite big, you've got the belly or you've got the bust and you're trying to reduce the appearance of that size. Then it's a clever idea to use dark on top and lighter on the bottom. Maybe you're incredibly got slim hips and you want to have width, so you would use a lighter colour on the bottom. The rules aren't for everybody, bear that in mind. They're there to be broken because of your own figure, your own lifestyle, your own taste. But I do say that we can absolutely wear a darker t-shirt with a lighter coloured skirt. It's something that I absolutely love and do wear myself. And it's not because of my figure or I'm trying to hide the top half and expand the bottom half or anything like that. It's because I actually like it. But the mistake is wearing the two together without any separation. No definition, no anchor point. And then it feels like you're just wearing two blocks and it's all a bit disjointed, like two separate things that just happen to have been thrown together on one person and both two rectangles. So give the eye something that makes that look intentional. Something to join the two pieces together at the waist. It's simple. In the summer, a raffia belt. Simple as that. Or the modern trend of a scarf tied loosely around the waist. That simple addition interrupts those two pieces, so they're not so stark and they're pulled together by that joiner, the and in a sentence. It's created structure, it's defined the shape, and then you've got your full-on sentence with your belt as your and. So you see, it's not about which colour goes where, which goes on top, which goes on the bottom. It's about making sure the waist is part of the look and intentional. Mistake 7, dismissing the A-line. We've talked about the A-line earlier on. Fitted at the waist, flaring away from the waist below that. This works for most body shapes. It skims where it needs to skim. It doesn't cling. It doesn't add bulk. And as you know, I absolutely love an A-line. It works for me. So it's likely to work for you. And when I look at the skirts that I do now own, the vast majority of them are A-line. And when I kept them or when I bought them, I wasn't looking at that. It's just as I have had that rummage and the declutter, it happens the ones I retained that I know work for me and look great on me all happen to be an A-line, and there you go, you see, there's a reason for it. Even the elasticated waists that I've kept are A-line, as I showed you earlier on. So if you have found that skirts don't work for you, try an A-line. If you're a person who loves shorts or jeans, trousers, because you like that stride, you like to be, move a lot, and you like that feeling of being able to stride and width. A-line is going to work because it's not tight as well, so it might suit your nature as well. It certainly does mine. Now this one is a little bit more complicated, but it's missing the dress effect. See, the goal with a skirt and a top is to not look like two separate pieces that you've just thrown together and it's a mismatch. The aim is to look like one piece that's going to be skimming and slimming and elongating. That doesn't mean they have to be matching. We're not talking monochromatic, but to look like a dress. And that's why the belt in the earlier example works, because without it, we've got two entirely separate pieces, a light or a dark top and a light or dark bottom, disjointed. But the adding that straw belt or a scarf brings those two together to make it look like one visual effect. And that's kind of what we call the dress effect. We're trying to avoid two different energies. We're wanting one visual appearance. And if you feel you haven't got it when you're putting together your blouse or your t-shirt and your skirt, add a belt or add a scarf. Remember, a scarf, if you're using a scarf as a belt, that could hide the belly, whereas you might not want to wear a belt, if you haven't got much waist definition. No, wearing scarves as belt is something I've kind of dismissed because I feel like it's always, isn't that a bit posing? Isn't it a bit trying too hard? But actually, if you haven't got a waist or you've got a bit of a belly, that is a good way of adding a belt. So think of them as functionally, and you may want to give that a try. Let's just have a refresh, because every single one of them is fixable. Define the waist, fitted top with a wide skirt. Choose your material carefully. Use belts, use scarves as belts, and embrace the A-line. You have asked me to talk to you about what I'm using up, what's new in my life that you may enjoy. First of all, I've got to mention the zip halo. I showed this in a video a few months ago. I am religiously using it. Absolutely love the effect. Absolutely love when I'm using the 6-minute facial and the 4-minute facial, the immediate effect. And I do think there is investment in using the nano current as well, 2 or 3 times a week. And if you're interested in seeing more about it and how it's used, it's in this video here. In the heat wave, if I use my normal everyday chemist shop shampoo, I'm having to wash my hair very regularly, every 2 days. I have found that during the summer, this Olaplex's 4C shampoo, which is a clarifying shampoo, absolutely fantastic. It literally does give me a really satisfying foam at the same time as once I've rinsed it out, it's squeaking. It literally squeaks. But what is fantastic about it is that my hair is not having that dried look that a clarifying greasy haired shampoo might have. So it's not over drying it, but my hair is staying cleaner for longer. On day 5 after my hair wash, I'm saying I suppose I better wash my hair. Whereas using it in any other shampoo, it's a case of by day 3, oh, I've got to wash my hair. And then we've also got the Olaplex number 5 Bond Maintenance Conditioner, and I am using that afterwards, following on from the clarifying shampoo. In the winter, I showed you this bag from Sarah Harron, and the beauty of these is you buy the bag and they're big or small, you know, whatever you like, whatever colour. But the brand also has a whole variety of decorations that you put on there, including tassels. So you just whip off your decoration. So this was very wintry, Christmassy type, you know, being that sort of a silver. I bought myself this. I know it looks like the tiles around a swimming pool, doesn't it? Mosaic, blue mosaic. And I thought that would look nice on it for the summer. And so, in the autumn, they gifted this bag to me, but I decided to pay for and buy myself a new decoration to go on it. And the next is a pair of flip-flops that I've just bought. These are Archies with arch support that you can see on the inside here, and they were recommended by a young Instagrammer I follow, and it was her mother wears them. Her mother would be about my age, and I always think that's a good indication. So a variety of colours available. I believe I got them from Amazon, so I'll link them down below for you. But they came with a little leaflet telling you to break them in by wearing them a few times a day and building it up like that. As they've been highly recommended by others, my feeling is that I would enjoy wearing them. So do you wear skirts in the summer? Have you found it difficult to wear skirts? Have you been gravitating to shorts and trousers, loose trousers, because you don't wear skirts? Maybe these are solutions that will help you. If you do wear skirts, which ones do you find the most flattering, and what are your tricks to make them work?